My name is Johnny McRae. I'm the artistic director of Vancouver Poetry House. If you have, you can, well, whatever. If you have, how many of you here by sound of applause have been with us at events throughout the week? Excellent. All right. 3 people. Perfect. We love new audiences. And by sound of applause, how many of you, this is your first Versus event this week? Oh, beautiful. You're in for a treat. I saw at least one liar out in the audience, but I trust the rest of you. Okay, so, so to begin, I just wanted to bring you some welcoming notes and some things of interest. And before I get to all of that, as we do at all Vancouver Poetry House events, I would like to acknowledge that these events are taking place on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Coast Salish nations. In making this acknowledgement, we invite you to reflect. We don't want this to be a moment that we're like, yeah, that's where we are, all right, let's move on with the show. But to really reflect on what it means for us to be here, what your relationship is with this land, what are the forces, historical, contemporary, that have brought you to be here, and what it is, how you live on this land, and how in living on this land you can do so in a way that is with respect and ideally to the benefit moving forward of the nations whose land it is that we are holding, how it is that you can support them as well in maintaining the integrity of their relationship with this land, which they have had for countless thousands of years. So that is something that we wish to bring into the event, to carry with us throughout the event and carry with us ideally in our lives outside of these events. Something that would be good to do. I think we can do that? Yeah? All right, perfect. And we're going to get things going with our fantastic poets who have come all the way from Australia to join us from Word Travels. I do want to acknowledge some special sponsors that have made it possible for them to be here with us, and that is the Australia Council for the Arts, Create NSW, and the Australian Consulate General of Canada. So we could give it up for our friends from Australia, making it possible for international artists being here. All right, and with that all said, I'm going to turn things over to your MC for the rest of this evening. Please give it up for the fantastic R.C. Wieslowski.
It's this easy. You just go to this one and talk into it. Thank you to Johnny McRae, the artistic director of the Versus Festival of Words. Yes, I'll be your MC for MASH Poetics and for Word Travels, which is happening right now. I will not take up much more time before we get to our poets, but I wanted you to think about if you've ever had the opportunity to travel outside of where you live regularly into a different place and kind of get outside of your comfort zone. Imagine that these folks have been doing so for the last month or so. They were in Banff at the start of April for the spoken word program there, and then they've been doing some other shows and now are here in Vancouver, and we'll soon be off to Montreal and I think Ottawa and then into New York City. So I mention that only in that those instances to actually make them feel even more like they are living here, that they're at home here in the Wise Hall, so that you can give them lots of love and lots of energy. We've got 3 poets from Word Travels who are touring. We've got Emily Crocker, Melanie Muninger Williams, and Miles Merrill, who is organizing this whole trip. Miles is a performing writer. He brought poetry slams to Australia from Chicago. He's the driving force behind most spoken word programs and projects in Australia. He tours internationally with folks like Saul Williams and Shane Koizan. He's hosted an ABC, which I think is the Australian broadcast channel on poetry slams, wrote and directed a show in Sydney Festival, performed solos at the Sydney Opera House, and created spoken word festivals, Night Words, and Story Fest. He directs the literary arts organization Word Travels and is a founder of the Inter-Aonal Performing Writers Program, Australian Poetry Slam. He publishes text, video, and audio, but he is definitely best live, and it's time for your turn to see and hear him live. Please welcome from Word Travels, Miles Merrill. Come on. He's your friend. He's at home. Welcome, Miles Merrill.
That was a poem called Some Sounds Cannot Be Written Down. Now, before I begin, I just want to let you know that I am a clear and concise speaker. I'm aware of other people's need to communicate verbally, and when others speak, I listen because other people have good ideas and need to divulge. I am a clear and concise speaker. I'm aware of other people's I am a clear and concise. I am a clear and concise. Other people have good ideas. Other people have good idea. Other people have got ID. Have you got ID? Have you got ID? Other people have got ID and need. I am a clear and I am a clear and concise speaker. I'm aware of other people's need to communicate verbally. When others speak, oi, listen, oi, listen. Other people have good ideas and need to divulge. Whew. So yeah, I'm originally from Chicago, but as you can hear, occasionally I pick up the Australian accent, and it's a little bit werewolfish. But I have traveled all over the place, and one of the things that I figured out is, hey, what's up? How y'all doing? My name Curly Jones. Y'all might know me from such movies as Curly Jones Hits the Streets, Dirty Curly. How about Curly Jones? Shh, Private. Or the sequel, Private Curly, in all of which I play myself. Oh, wait a minute. How about the animated Hyper Adventures of Manic the Mouse? Y'all seen that? That was sort of a voiceover type thing, you know? No, wait. 2 weeks ago, CBC documentary series swinging through the dark Detroit jungle with Curly Jones, in which I interview I interview myself, but oh, wait a minute. How could I be so stupid? Y'all must have seen that multi-award winning, critically acclaimed, box office breaking blockbuster hit called What's Up, in which I play something totally different. I play a streetwise African-American private detective / gangster, yeah. But this time, I'm called Carl Lee Jones' son. Now, in this movie, I got to protect my sister from the pimps, criminals, con artists, and drug dealers surrounding her while she tries to establish herself in a legitimate job as the U.S. Secretary of State. Now, unfortunately, Carl Lee Jones' son fails. He can only stand back and watch as she is conned to lease a rice field from an Afghan poppy grower in the ghetto. Now, first thing y'all got to know about Curly Jones is I don't play, okay? I don't play. People come over my house, they're like, Curly, give us a little song, man. Pick up the guitar. I'll be like, man, I might pick you up once a week, hold you close, run my fingers over those strings, twist that neck, twist them knobs, make some muzak ooze out your body. But at the end of the day, I'm just practicing because I do not play, okay? Now, second thing y'all got to know about Curly Jones is I'm tired of being motherfucking typecasted and shit. You know, all them movies they put me in, who they got me playing? Curly Jones. I called my agent, I was like, man, why you always gonna cast me as me? Send me someplace exotic, like even that animated Hyper Adventures of Manic the Mouse, the voiceover type thing, you know? I play a horse called Curly Jones. I said, send me someplace where they don't even speak English, like Australia. I'll learn German. I don't care. So check it out. They gave me this script. I'm supposed to read it out, but I memorized it because I'm a professional, right? Good evening, crazies and mentalmen, and welcome to another edition of I'm Not Normal. With your host, the gutsy wonder, Miles, not to be confused with kilometers, which are shorter and less imperial. Now, this evening, we will take to the streets and give misfits and derelicts a voice. We will ask you please to cut off an ear and give it to a sad lump, mumbling sweet nothings in the exhaust fume fog on a street corner out there, somewhere in this crazy city we call home. But first, a poem. Who here has been camping before? In the rain. In a thunderstorm where your tent gets lifted off the ground while you're in it. This happened to you? Excellent. Come on up here and tell us about it. Okay. So tell us where you were and let me...
Georgian Bay.
Tell us where you were, how you felt. Tell us a little bit about the experience.
I was in Georgian Bay with a friend, and it was our first time in a sailboat. And we went up to an island, and we thought, great, no one's here. We tied up to a tree, we put up the tent, we did a hit of acid. And that's
okay, true. So when you got lifted off of the ground while you were still in it, you were like, metaphorically, right?
She played her flute. Yeah. I did the dishes using sand.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was so great. And then a huge storm came up. All of a sudden, the sailboat started rocking, smashing against the rocks. And we realized that this island was going underwater.
Whoa.
So we pulled up the tent, we got in the boat, and we sat all night long, waiting until morning.
Thank you very much. A round of applause.
On acid.
On acid, yes. What's your name? Gina. So Gina just did the number 2 scariest thing that people say they can do in surveys, and I know most of you are probably veterans at getting up on stage, but actually, that public speaking thing apparently is the number 2 scariest thing that humans can do, so well done. One more round of applause for Gina. Yeah, I think number 1 thing is cockroach crawls into your ear while you sleep. Who wants to do public speaking? Yay! Cockroach crawls into your ear while you sleep. Public speaking! It's worse if they lay eggs. Anyway, so I was camping in a little town called Ballina, just south of Byron Bay, in Australia. And I woke up in the middle of the night. Well, I should say I was camping in a caravan park, or a trailer park. And I was on, you're supposed to hike 3 kilometers into the forest with a machete, right, or whatever, and put your tent down in the middle of the trees and push leaves. But there I was on a concrete slab. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and my tent had become a balloon. I was kind of bouncing down the hill. And I could see through the side little flap in the tent that the clothesline in the caravan park was one of those kind of things that spun around, helicopter. And when it kind of all settled down, I kind of went back to sleep. But when I got up in the morning, I was all wrapped in nylon with poles everywhere, soaking wet. And I did the only normal, natural thing. What each of you would do as well, admit it. I raced to the nearest cafe, ordered a soy latte with honey, and wrote a fucking poem about it. That's what you do, right? So, here we go. The sky carries a cattle prod that cracks like a ripped electric cable on a wet highway. White light veins stretch across the dark bosom of heaven. The lightning and thunder makes me think the world's ducks are quack, quack, quacking overhead. The world's hands are overhead. The rain is a 17-year cicada plague, gone kamikaze on my nylon A-frame. A Ballina hurricane spins in my racing brain, and I beg the sky's bucket dumpers to stop pummeling my weak shelter! and charcoal clouds stroll on. Mighty fists sucked back, packed into billowing pockets, revealing the moon and my sanity. I unzip my tent, poke my head to the sky, and now half the sky is stars. Half the sky is stars. Everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause for making great rain. Thank you. So we're going to have a couple of other poets come out here in a second. I'm going to finish up. I've got two more poems for you. We've got, but on deck, we've got Melanie Munungra Williams and we've got Emily Crocker. And we thought what we'll do is have a little panel discussion and some performances as well. So, yeah, get a chance to have a chat with the artists a bit, mate. All right. So I go around to a lot of places around Australia, and I go around to a lot of schools, and I go to this little town called Kempsey, and I ask, what's Kempsey like? And they say, it's a hole, boring as, nothing happens. And I went to Broken Hill, and it's a mining town, and they said it's a big hole in the ground. There's a hole, boring as. Went to a place called Wagga Wagga, and I said, what's Wagga Wagga like? What do you do for fun? Nothing, it's a hole. Yeah, it's such a hole, it echoes, Wagga Wagga. And I was like, okay. And I was going, okay, gosh, this is interesting. So I went to a town called Menindee, and I performed in front of the entire high school, 17 kids. And I was like, okay, and that's like K to 12, you know? And I said, all right, what's Menindee like? It's a hole. What do you do for fun? Drink beer? No, you don't. You do? Oh, no. Damn it. Right. What about this? Has anyone here ever eaten kangaroo before? Yeah, mate. What is this guy? Ridiculous? Yes, we eat roo. Okay, cool. That's good. What about emu? Oh, what? Yes. This guy's ridiculous. Yes, we eat emu. Okay, great. Who here has ever killed an emu before? 6 out of 17 kids raised their hand. Killed an emu. I was like, okay. I said, keep your hand in the air if you killed an emu with your bare hands. One kid's still sitting there. And I'm looking at him going, you're this tall, emu's this tall. And I'm like, sure, tell me about the time you killed an emu with your bare hand. And he's like, too easy, mate. Driving down the highway with my dad. There's an emu running alongside the highway, and there's a bit of a barbed wire fence, and the bush, is a bit dense. And my dad sort of rolls the power window down on my side, and pulls up alongside that emu, and he says, go on, son, reach out and grab that emu by the neck. So I did. I reached out, grabbed it by the neck, and I held on to it, and it was pecking me, and I was bleeding in that. But I just held on to it. And by the time we got home, it was dead, so we plucked it and we ate it. Big deal. And I was like... And in my head, I'm going, been to New York, been to London, been to Paris. I ain't never heard nothing crazy like that shit before. And I said, so this should be super simple. Why don't you just write about what you did on Friday night? I'm from Chicago, I live in Sydney, I've never been to Menindee. If this is your life, then Friday night should be kind of interesting. So I put on a little instrumental track, and I walk over, and I have a look at this kid's writing, the same one who's, grabbed the emu with his bare hands, and I'm looking, and I'm like, let me see what you got there. Okay, let's see. Oh, let's see what you got. Okay. Shot my homies up. They was only hanging with me for the bling bling. Now I gotta sing. What is this? Sir, I was trying to write a rap like Snoop Dogg. You being black and all, you could give me some feedback, eh? And I was like, sorry, just because I'm black doesn't mean I rap. What did you actually do on Friday night? I was boring as. Went to a dance at the youth center. There was no ladies there, so I couldn't get no play. What, you're 12? And then my granddad picked me up about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting in the back of the ute and spotted a roo, and I banged on the roof, let my granddad know to stop, and I picked up my .22, shot it, got it in the head, first go, and jumped off the back, and I clubbed it in the head with the butt of my rifle because it was still kicking, and I didn't want to waste a bullet, you know. And then my granddad comes out, and you dig a hole in the ground, and you build a fire, and then you put rocks on top of the fire, and then you gut the roo, wrap it up, and then you bury it in like a little oven type thing. And I'm write that down. I was just like, nobody else in the world experiences anything like what you just told me. Why waste your time going, shut my homies up? You will maybe get a chance to go to New York one day and you'll walk up to somebody and you'll be like, shut my homies up. They'll think you're an idiot, a poser, a faker. They might shoot you. But if you tell them that I spotted a roo and jumped off the back of the ute, shot it in the head with my .22, put that into your rap, you know, your own experience is gold. People will take you home, introduce you to their family, give you really crappy coffee, and say, this is my new friend from Austria. I don't know why he speaks English. But my point is that each of us has something inside of us, and we may imagine that we come from a hole, that we come from nowhere, that our experiences are boring as. But this turns that around. And my passion is not this. That's not my passion. My passion is going where there is the most need and giving the microphone to the people there. That's why I set up Word Travels, and that's what excites me the most, because I spent about 15 years just traveling around the world getting the applause, and now I like actually creating opportunities for other people to tell their stories. So I thought that I failed in Menindee. The kids didn't like me. I thought they were going to throw spitballs and pieces of paper at me, and I left thinking they're never going to have me back. A year later, I was in a festival, and this woman ran up to me and gave me a hug, and I did not recognize her. And I was like, hi, how you going? What's up? And she's like, don't you remember me? No. Oh, I'm the teacher from Menindee. You were at my school last year? Oh, sorry, I really screwed that one up. I'm so sorry. They totally didn't get it, did they? And she went, no. Right after you left, the kids set up our first radio station so they could perform their poetry. It's the first time that we've had anything like that in our community. And you just never know, do you? You can walk away from that situation feeling like a failure and then find out that you've actually had an impact. And that, to me, is valuable. Yeah? Now, I'm going to finish with a poem, and then I'm going to invite our other two artists out here. Now, actually, I've got to tell one more school story because this is why I perform this. Imagine a world before YouTube. If you can, remember back, far, far. Anyway, I arrived at a school before YouTube. Now, they had no opportunity to watch my videos or research my work because honestly, there was no internet. It was 1998, and I arrived at the school, and the 4,000 students of Armadale High School were in front of the school with banners and signs with my name on the banners and signs, all going, Miles, he's here! Ah! 4,000 kids, and they created a tunnel, and the teachers were pushing them back, and I went to the front office to sign in. They have taken my publicity kit, which is, good high-res photo, and they've blown up some sort of life-size cardboard thing of me with one of those kind of explosion, caption things, where it's instead of a speech cloud, it's like an explosion. And inside it says, Miles Merrill, hip-hop superstar. I'm looking at that going, I see what you did there. You went black, from Chicago, doing the poetry thing. Oh, I know, he's rapping. No, I wasn't rapping, right? And anyway, I get into the room with the first group of 150 kids, and they're all like, yeah, oh my God. Yeah, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. And they're like, yeah. I think he's doing a poem. Next one. Yeah, next one. Yeah, good poem, sir. Good poem. Yeah. Nah, he's doing another poem. Oh, what are you gonna? Nah, you ask him, mate. Nah, you ask him. All right, sir. Sorry to interrupt your poem about the camping and all that, but do you rap? Well, just because I'm black doesn't mean that I rap. But could you freestyle just like something from the top of your dome? Could you just make something up, like be inspired by something in the room? Could you just just off the top of your dome? I was like, where did you get that phrase from? Off the top of your dome, you little kid in a country Australian. Anyway, and so I was like, all right. So this is a bit more polished, but than the first time. But it goes like this. Well, I've been busy trying to defend you. My other friend said you smell like something on the bottom of a shoe. And when I saw you walking down the street, I thought, hey, just the man I wanted to see. Let's go get something to eat. But I saw your little fingers and your fat ass meat. And I said, why you always digging in your booty like that? Always got them greasy fingers crawling up your crack. Why you always digging in your booty like that? Always got them little fingers stuck up in your fat. And then I heard what you said about me. Yeah, I guess it's true. I grabbed my crotch just a little too free. You think I'm going to deny it, but no, I'm not. Everybody's got their problems in a different spot. So why you always digging in your booty like that? Why am I always grabbing on my crotch like this? I said, picking in my nose, playing with my toes, cleaning out my ears with a suction hose. Well, waving around the B.O. like I just don't care. Flossing through my teeth with a piece of hair. Farting up a storm, thinking it's the norm. See, everybody's got their problems in a different spot. Yo, everybody's got their issues in a different spot. So everybody's got their problems in a different spot. So why you always digging in your booty like that? Thank you. Some quick introductions. To my right here is Melanie Monungara Williams, a Japu woman. Yes. Melanie is a Japu woman from Yirrkala, which is a town in northeast Arnhem Land, so the northern part of Australia, and a province or a territory, the Northern Territory. And she's one of about 4,600 speakers of Yolngu Matha. She's also our current Australian Poetry Slam champion. And some pretty cool things have happened along the way. So Melanie performs in a pub in Darwin, which is like a big, well, relatively large town in Northern Territory, about 30,000, 40,000 people.
Yeah, there might be a little bit more.
Yeah. And then to the Opera House, wins the National Slam. And then a few days later, she gets an Instagram message from an editor at Penguin saying, we'd like to look at your first manuscript. And we're like, dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Yeah. So, winning the National Poetry Slam, I'm going to basically have a quick little interview with Melanie, and then we're going to talk to Emily Crocker over here, who is on tour with us as well. But Mel, just tell us a little bit about the emotional journey that you've gone on. One thing you said to me was, is this going to be my job now? Like, we were on the phone together, and you're going, I kind of was doing this for fun, and I thought maybe that this would turn into something, but this is really fast. Like, how's that emotional journey gone for you? Because, touring and everything.
Whoa. I think roller coaster is an understatement. I was 6 months pregnant when I performed my first poem publicly last year, and since then it's just been ongoing. And really exciting, but super scary as well, just because it's like a whole new scene and, but really exciting. So, yeah, I'm just really happy to be here, and I love Vancouver, by the way.
So Melanie is traveling with her 9-month-old daughter, Brooklyn. So we were supposed to have 15 poets at the Banff Spoken Word course. There were only 14. So Brooklyn stepped in and became the sound poet of our. So tell me about that journey as well, or tell us about that journey of going on tour. So Banff, Calgary, Edmonton here, Blue Metropolis, Ottawa, New York. That journey with child.
Well, I wouldn't have it any other way, I don't think. Family comes first. That's the first thing I say. I'm a mother first before anything else. My children and my husband and my culture and my language shape my poetry. And it's actually nice having the company. Yeah, so I've got a little piece of home with me all the time, so that's cool. And my other son is back home with my husband, so we each have a little bit of company, which is nice.
So on my left here is Emily Crocker. I've known Emily, I think, since 2015, is it? Yeah. So we have a youth slam called The Rumble in Australia, and Emily won that and then did a performance. Did you perform at the Opera House?
I did indeed,
yes.
yeah.
But has since just grown into a veteran artist, putting out a book called Girls and Buoyant, and doing a 2-person show at a theater space in Sydney called Shopfront. She's, I think, the richness of her writing and the confidence that she just exudes on stage is compelling. And so for someone to go from slam into theater, tell me about your trajectory with that, and what do you think is the next step? Considering, there's getting up in a slam, then there's doing a feature, and then there's doing a show. What's your trajectory?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm figuring that out, right? Slam is an artifice and is a competition and is wonderful and entertaining and builds communities, but, no props, no costumes, 3 minutes, no music, or 1 minute, 4 minutes. I don't know how you do things in Canada, but all of those things are limitations, and I just found myself being increasingly frustrated with those sort of bite-sized parcels of poetry and the way that spoken word is presented, and the sort of lack of industry around spoken word outside of slams. And so I kind of looked out there and was like, well, there's not there isn't I don't think there is in Australia yet a clear career trajectory for a spoken word artist. So I thought, well, if I'm a bit where else can I go? And so I'm not a theater practitioner. I started out as a writer and then came to performing because I wanted an audience for my writing. So I was like, well, let's try, let's access a theater space and let's see what we can do. And that was such a learning experience. So I think what's next is getting better at, working in more of a performing arts, theater, kind of context.
And what do you feel like the Banff experience was like, the Banff Spoken Word course? What were your takeaways and your highlights from that?
Oh, yeah. I think the highlight is by far getting to be inundated in the group of other poets doing the program. Everyone there was a wonderful human being, a really brilliant poet, people with really clear projects and clear goals in their practice, but also such a diversity of skills, people coming from writing backgrounds and music backgrounds and performance backgrounds. And I just really feel like we learned so much off each other as much as we learned from the faculty, and I'm so grateful for that. I wanted to attend the band program since I met Tanya Evanson when she toured to Australia, and certainly getting to learn under her was really, really wonderful. She's such a wonderful artist and such a playful and warm human being. So I would say so.
I want to hear some poetry from each of you. Can we start with Mel? Do you want to stick with that microphone? Do you want the stand?
I might get the stand.
Yeah, sweet. Okay. Round of applause for Melanie Manangara Williams.
Ngara indol jappo. Tual ngara. White sand, blue sea. Ngara indol jappo. Namani. Marna, deep within me. I stalk these waters silently, nurturing and protectively. Deep eyes, deep thoughts, deep sea, surging within me. Ngarindol jappo, warrior blood beneath my skin, pounding through my body, an ancient bond to ancient kin. Ngarindol jappo, namane, barnumbir in my eyes, from break of dawn till dusk of night, where Danbul dances across the fire. Ngarindol jappo, I feel me, in glowing moonlight sand, from home of lonely tree to the island of silent man. Ngarindol jappo, this is me, land, culture, language, and sea. Eternal pride engulfs me, forever strong, forever free. Ngarindol jappo. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that poem was a story about my homeland back home, and it's very, very dear to me, a big part of who I am and what I write about. It's also the first poem that I ever read on stage, and that was back in 2015, so a very long time ago. This next one's a little bit different. It was inspired by an idea that the spoken word scene in Darwin had, where we come up with themes, and the theme was to write a poem about the newest tourism slogan in Darwin, which was boundless possible. So this is my interpretation of boundless possible. Welcome to the Northern Territory. Calling all white fellas, calling racists and rednecks, calling city slickers, young teachers, coppers, and anyone wanting to make a quick buck. Welcome to the Northern Territory. The land of pristine waters, untouched land of sacred borders, the home of fishermen and deep sea trawlers. Welcome to the land of miners. Miners from the land, traditional owners put the children into homes, make their families find them, fight to bring them home. Inhale deep the northern air, it's nothing but pure oxygen here. Salty breezes, desert breezes, swaying trees and hanging teens. Epidemics drowned in rolling waves, rolling thunder drowning, desperate silent screams from towns, communities crowning at the birth canal of a political crossroads. It shows, for those with an eye for detail, where people come to make a buck, work for a year out remote, followed by a nice promotion, their resume now reading, able to give cultural advice where needed. million-dollar barra games for tourism gains, Indonesian fakes of traditional art for tourism gains, traditional artists winning the poverty game, no million-dollar gains for their artistic fame. Welcome to the Northern Territory. Home of the jumping crocodile and yellow waters, the founder of the second stolen generation, something else for us to be proud of as a nation. But welcome to the Northern Territory, where dreams are built on stolen land and the possibilities are endless if you're not of this land. Needless to say, the reaction from the audience in that small town was a little bit... This next poem is just a poem I wrote. A little bit of a different tune, I suppose. I fail miserably at navigating relationships that sail along smoothly. Fail to see the horizon because I always arrive at the beach on stormy days when the water is tumultuous and choppy, white caps lining the sea out as far as the eye can see, and I fail to see red and yellow flags designed to guide me and keep me safe before I step foot into his tsunami. My skills in swimming, no match for the fury of his waves. My ears become the shore his words break upon. My face, the swell of his fist. My name, insignificant debris, tossed around with no place to be. And my failure is enough to believe that I will never be able to succeed at a relationship I can call home. A home that isn't lined with eggshell floors, walls painted with holes, a bed of lies, a pillow of self-talk, trying to convince myself that I can make it through another day without leaking rivers of fear from my eyes. Always walking in single file down the streets in front of me, me at his tail. Place I'm told I belong, falling in line, knowing my place. Second place. Trophy girlfriend, second rate, but good on paper. Educated, great work ethic, highly rated, cultured, independent, great with kids, financially stable, fake smile masking the hatred. Feeling like the girlfriend title is overrated, heart aching, breaking daily, my self-esteem, self-worth struggling to hold on. When I'm underwater, it's filling my lungs and I can't breathe. I raise my hand and wave the lifeguard down to save me from this torturous rip. As I mentioned before, I'm a mother of two beautiful children, my little girl Brooklyn Phoenix, who's in the back hanging out, and my son Zay, who's 8. He's back in Darwin. Zay is autistic, and last month was Autism Awareness Month. So this poem is a very special poem because it's the first poem that I ever wrote with the intention of it being read out, and while I was in Banff, I completed it. So I'm very happy to share this one with you tonight. It's called Our Beating Hearts. In the shadows of 3 colossal meltdowns, my prince, the apple of my eye, he rests his weary eyes and sleeps. And while his limp little body lands safe beneath the covers, I'm still suspended, feet bound, upside down, heart pounding, echoing round him. I weep. My tears erode the sandstone. My tears erode the fortress I believed was built of sandstone, reveal I'm only built of sand, and so I crumble. Tremble under my womb of expectations for my child. I didn't anticipate the pain I cannot take away. I've been reduced to a bag of sand, dead weight, mustering only enough strength to create a wall big enough to contain all our tears, to keep the salt water privately rising in our own well so as not to disturb the neighbours further with a flood following the meltdown. My biceps flex only escaping steam, evaporating strength. strength. My realization, my son, can no longer be cradled. My cradle is breaking, and when it's broken, where will the apple of my eye land? His breath, serene, mine a vibration, a rapid rise and fall of fear and despair, and I ask myself again, where to from here? And a buzz of swarming raindrops somersault down my cheek, one for every helpless feeling. I lay, unconvinced, I will remain my prince's healer. For each fist of frustration he threw at me and every kick he could not feel, for every high five to my face and tooth embedded in my skin, every object, toy or tool he had hurled across the room, I am the question and my actions mark if what I had done was right. In his peaceful slumber, the pieces still don't fit, and I am criticized by my worst critique, myself. I'm too hard on him, not hard enough. I pick the wrong battles, the ones that can't be won. I need more visuals, more routine, and then the killer. Is it his disability? Or lack of discipline from me? I survey his innocence through the wells inhabiting the sockets in my face and question every choice I've ever made on his behalf. From food to education, routine to the company we keep and his socialization. Too many screens and not enough greens. Too many trees and not enough treats. Too many treats and not enough greens. Physical activity versus books and academics and reading and writing fluently. Hope evades my grasp. Blows on an elusive breeze my hand will not raise to reach for that will mean removing the wall that I have built to protect the most precious fruit that I have bore. And if I cannot protect him, then what? Have we lost? My instincts tell me failure is not an option when it is my child I am fighting for. My senses tell me I must learn, dive into deep pressure, seek movement-seeking skills, taste the reasons why, and load my understanding to understand why his senses overload. Value my instincts and the knowledge I have about meltdowns. Melting down is not the focus. Focus is on the beauty of my melting heart, my beating son. Our beating hearts, my son. Thank you. Thanks. This next poem is the first poem I performed at the Opera House, so it's exciting to perform it here. I, black woman, don't want to be just another black woman standing up here talking about black women's issues and how black women are seen as second-rate citizens in my country because I am black, because I am woman. But here I am. Because when I gave birth to a black girl last year, I realised how important it was that she grew up in a world without fear. You see, black women are already birthed into society fighting for equality because of the colour of our skin and the genitals we're born with. Born with 2 strikes against us from the very beginning, while white boys with privilege arrive already winning. It's a race neither of us have entered into, yet you're born with no strikes and I'm born with 2. Strike 1. I'm born with a target on my back. It's a target of default simply because I'm born black. I'm a statistic that says you'll get a degree before me, and while your babies will strive and thrive, educated well throughout their lives, mine will fight to survive. If their lives aren't first stolen by suicide, I'm a statistic that puts me in prison before you. I'm a statistic that says I will die sooner too. Strike 2. Girl. Targets. All over her. My heart breaks to think that men will always try to fuck her and chuck her, hit her and quit her, wolf whistle, catcall, grope, hurt and abuse her, and this behaviour is acceptable because she's a girl. This behaviour is normalised in this messed up world. She becomes 1 in 5 women sexually assaulted or threatened, and because she bears the heirs to your thrones, then her pay wage is lesser. Now, I try not to be political. I try to keep my mouth shut. After all, that's the role of a good black girl, right? You're kidding, right? We might be born with 2 strikes, but we're far from out. Black women all over are an uprising nation, a force to be reckoned with, to be seriously taken. Our resilience comes from deep within, from being born with 2 strikes from the very beginning, but turn the page and see how the ink has bled through from the blood of black women born with 2 strikes too. Their strength, their legacy, their fight lives on. 2 strikes couldn't stop them. Black women are a weapon Mother Earth kept secret. So on that note, let me introduce you to Black Woman, Double Threat.
Melanie has got 5 shows at the Blue Metropolis. We leave on an 11:20 flight tonight in order to get there at 7:30 tomorrow morning so that she can do a 5:30 opening night event at the Blue Metropolis where there's like 300 other artists, including the writer of Brokeback Mountain. Annie Proulx is there, and all kinds of incredible experiences lie ahead. Now, we have MASH Poetics coming up, but first, we have Emily Crocker. Can we hear your incredible set, please? Round of applause for Emily Crocker.
Today, while you were out at work, someone installed a microphone in our backyard. They padlocked it to the patio, and now I second guess everything I say. Everything I say, like who owns that parsley plant, or the drooping laundry with all the new pockets cut in, because it's not home, but not home either, right? Like, not that each other are lost, but not that we are not lost either, you know. That these times are not to be trusted when having your name on the lease feels like the height of security. We chose this one out of all the places we would never own because of the space for an air mattress in the front room just in case anyone needed to store a body. Because the poem, it is a time machine. And we are trying in careful metaphor to trace back through a trail of parts of ourselves severed in the constant shrinking and expanding until they could be of anybody, and you won't ask me exactly what I meant when I say this time, I'm so pleased to be a soft landing. A recipe for washing powder, a cracked phone screen, an ear on the inside making unauthorized records, the copies, they unfold like linen. But when I say love, what if you take that to mean I stole the change from your car ashtray? What if they take it that way? Because the whole fence around our rental is itching with the tissue lint of forgotten history and the guy who installed the microphone. And I know you can hear me, Neil. He says it only measures decibels. But how can I trust anyone who would be so earnestly uncompassionate? Because this house has always not understood, but not understood, right? Listened to the whole throbbing continuum, wobbling as it does through the hot water system, through the too thin bedroom walls, a tin can intimacy, not romantic, but not tender, with optimism. And still our voices are tangling in invisible nets every moment, until the only name you can use is the noise we make to get your attention. If we could just resist in this one last stronghold, the exchanging of data for services, and yell over the passing trains, over the construction sites, yell all the things that we can't say. Just so you know, that's a true story. One time I came home and, honest to God, someone had installed a microphone in my backyard. It was a mic on a stand like this, with just a business card at the bottom that said Neil phone number. This is true. I called him. I was like, "The fuck's this man?" Has anyone here ever had a really wonderful breakup? Yeah, hell yeah. Can I get a hell yeah for emotional honesty? Hell yeah! This is a poem about a really wonderful breakup. On the IKEA mattress, in that first apartment, sweating Sydney from every pore, we became two left-hand parentheses, like flower pots, backs curled. Before the alarm. Oh no, hang on. In that first apartment, sweating Sydney from every pore, we became two left-hand parentheses, like flower pots, backs curled against everything, before the alarm, waiting for you to flip around, fill my blind spot, and peck my nose. I should never have assumed you would close off the background information, interrupting my every waking moment, the arguments over why the tofu keeps turning yellow before the end of the week. You think the fridge is leaking, but I just don't like that cheap corner grocer you go to. The one with the Microsoft Word printouts pushed like nostrils to the glass, watching the artifacts on our tiny dining table dry. Departmental forms unfilled, not because we'd run out of things to say to each other, but perhaps we were just too much like real family to fit on a single-sided attached A4 sheet. The recycling bin overflowing every week. If I could just keep us both fed. Even if I was the only one who ever mopped around here, and mostly when I was meant to be looking for a job because you can't focus properly when I'm home moping around. So I told you, as we were nodding off, that I was gonna become a refrigerator technician. And maybe then I could really make something work instead of all of this packaging up our pillow talk and selling it on for less than the recommended rate of pay. Instead of the ceaseless game of Snap, racing each other to bring home the commission or the door split from a show. And that night, I dreamt I was the greatest refrigerator technician of our generation. And in the morning, eager to get my hands dirty, I shuffled the smooth white Hulk away from the kitchen wall and reached into its backside cavity to pull its mechanical guts right out of its ass and fix that goddamn leak once and for all. But I found that the fridge was actually stuffed. Those blue pieces, they broke up on my fingertips and fell away. So the following nightfall, I left a bin liner containing my half of the linen in front of a salvo's, and walking back to collect the rest of my things, spied the glowing square of our living room window and heard you singing. Like the first time I ever saw you on stage, love songs that predated our meeting from the car park. I mouthed the words like shaping my lips to yours a final time. For now, at least, because it all comes with you, doesn't it? Rattles like beer bottles and the occasional crushed tomatoes tin not rinsed properly. Reminders that two lopsided haircuts are better than one in the charged night. Just get out. Get the vacuum out. Pull your weight against the tide and text me when you get back safe. So, thank you. This next poem is called Gyra, which is the name of a town, a very small town in northern New South Wales where my father's family is from. And I'm not going to say it's a whole, but it's got a population of 2,000 people. And if you go on a road trip in Australia, there's a weird phenomenon where lots of small towns have big things, like Big Banana and Big Potato, and Gyra's claim to fame is the Big Lamb. But this is a poem about Gyra. North, through what you know as wine country, to meet you south of your days. The granite surfaces in molars, the terrain rolls from collarbone to peach hip, the taste of lip balm smacking through the open window, but I can't remember the names of the other rocks since you stopped quizzing me. They marched right out of my mind like an abattoir. There isn't a half-decent coffee to be found. And the flat possum, halfway over the white line, wags its tail as trucks rattle past. I scan the radio for news and turn up Adele tickets sponsored by Rick's Meats in Musselbrook and drive Into the oncoming collision of eldest sons, the same motorcycle overtakes me each town. I stop to trace each name like speech therapy, but they all taste like not good enough. From a rocking chair wedged under a door handle, someone's paid real cash for billboards, name-calling, wind farming, environmental vandalism, and quoting Matthew that a man shall join to his wife, so I don't stop till I show up with quick sale Valentine's flowers and a bottle of port wagging my tail. And everything is doll-sized now. The breakfast bar stool covers need laundering, and my childhood is still perched atop them. All tiny knees on the countertop, scratching butterfly stamps out of raw potato halves. I put my palm between her tiny shoulder blades, fluttering as they work away, and ask how you like us now. But you hurry me out of the kitchen wielding a tea towel like a champagne flute in photos of the Lamb and Potato Festival pumpkin relay. I am hip-height to my competitors. Dolly arms wrapping the heavy fruit to my skinny chest, knees stuttering under myself. I lost that day. But I won their hearts like a butcher's tray, and even now I've been known to eat meat at family gatherings, so bring out the Sunday cutlery. I'm here for both of us to see what I'm made of, treat each other to Alco prep pads at the site of incision. I quote Matthew, "For this cause a man shall leave his father." You say how Paul always took the boys trout fishing when we were up for the summer. I say how he wrapped Mary's throat in monofilament line. You don't recall that somehow, but it's a bloody kaleidoscope of decaffeinated instant and forbidden nail polish remover, and I'm still praying in my unborn nephew's names that they'll build wind farms. Because rumor has it that there are fewer broken necks in town. Now everyone works in the tomato greenhouse instead of the slaughterhouse. Who ever heard of a liquor store going out of business? At least the pub was built on higher ground. It smelt like a bread maker then, and it smells like it now. And my brother, he is a good man. He loves good men, wins meat raffles like a vegan, doesn't sport for introduced fish species, can tell sugar gum from red spotted. He would love to inherit your pumpkin scone recipe one day, but eldest sons inherit farms where you're from, so you take me on a tour of all the houses you move through, moving up the hill in this town, buying a better view of the arboretum. You know the date every one of those trees was planted, and every one of them is more beautiful than a studio in suburban Sydney. All day south, I think about living out of my car. Since you sent me home with cold cut sandwiches and dolls' furnitures, and these some things, they fit perfectly in the glove box. But I've been taught to fear what it would do to the family name to be surrounded by windows all the time. I always admired greenhouses more than granites. Thank you. My beloved friends who need to get on a flight, I'm just going to finish up with one more quick one. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Which is it's a love poem. Always good. I'm going to read it actually. Today, I learned that some kinds of roses are genderless. They reproduce by shedding parts of themselves. And I wondered if the remaining organs of the rose feel the loss, if they grieve what is fallen even as the softwood tokens kiss new life into the expectant soil. The ache of growth is damageless, but is painful nonetheless. Still, the rose is such a hardy type. It can lose all its leaves, catch fire even, and survive. And I pictured you, sturdy flanks and all, hands on hips, shooting into your boots, your industrial art of flower arranging. I hear that moving a rose bush is no easy feat, that it takes elbow grease and gentleness. But I want nothing more for you than a place to bloom. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. We're off to the airport, and Thank you very much to
Thank you.
Versus Festival for having us. Thanks to the Australia Council for funding us. Great New South Wales, Canadian Consulate. You guys are amazing. Mash Poetics on stage. Ah!
Let us thank them one more time. Please make some noise for Word Travels. Miles, Melanie, and Emily. Miles and Melanie are off to Montreal. Emily, you get to hang around, so that's cool.